before you go to your meeting?
Just that I'm running late, so I need to get
Any comment though about what you're going to talk about?
Well, Bob Crow is going to talk to us, as are all the union representatives, about important matters relating to the steam packet.
Have you got something you can offer them?
Well, I'd be very interested to hear what they've got to say, that's all I can say at the moment. Well, I'll come. I'm happy to talk to you, but I'm late to talk to you. Sorry?
Have a photo shot.
Yeah, okay.
Come down here.
I'll blame you fellas then. If I get into trouble.
I'm going to hurt you, come on. Yeah.
No, I'm sure you are.
You're asking me questions.
What do you want to know?
That's Bob Crow there.
Oh, right, sorry. I thought you must have been upstairs.
No, we're waiting for you.
Right.
Well, Billy, ask me a question then.
Yeah, we'd like to know what your situation is on this. What is your...
Well, I'm very interested to hear what your representatives have got to say. Obviously, I've spoken to the steam packet, I've spoken to Mezeron, so we've got different points of view, and very interested to find out what
we want to know what you think about what could be the adverse unemployment around here, what could state's going to put on the government.
What are the MAKs think doing to protect their constituency jobs?
Well, I'm not sure that there's any jobs that are being threatened at the moment.
I would say your word on that then.
Well, I mean, I don't employ you, so I don't know. All I know is that I'll be working very closely with your union representatives, with the management of the steam packet.
I think what the concerns are is that, do you know the rate of pay they're paying the staff on the Mr. Gawne?
I am aware, yes.
How much is it, could you tell us?
I'm aware that it is acceptable under the various marine legislation, and I understand, is it the ITA that's...
Yeah, but you must recognise in the Isle of Man you pay a minimum rate.
Absolutely.
It's half the minimum rate.
Absolutely, and I do understand all that, but I also understand that the Isle of Man is not in a position to influence international marine labour organisation and general terms and conditions.
What's stopping them putting SD-only labour then on the passenger service?
Sorry?
What's stopping them putting SD-only labour on the passenger services then?
Stopping them putting...
SD-only labour on the passenger services?
Well, as I understand it, there's nothing, because that is the existing laws that we work under. That is not to say that I think that's a fantastic situation. However, there are bigger players in global transport and shipping legislation than the Isle of Man, and certainly we have done everything we can to meet the highest standards that are available, and will continue to do so. But you know, I mean, if the Isle of Man uniquely decides to impose certain terms and conditions on its sailors, it's highly likely that we will lose.
Yeah, but you could turn around and say that any ship that operates out of this ferry, then the minimum rate would apply. You could apply the national minimum wage for the Isle of Man if you wanted to.
I can impose the legislation that I have the power to impose. I can't impose legislation that I haven't got the power to impose, and we don't have legislation to require ships that are brought in.
So on the passenger ships, none of the lads there are going to lose their jobs then as well?
I haven't said that. All I've said is that I will work with the steam packet and yourselves to ensure as best we possibly can that jobs are maintained. But it's not in my gift. You know, the steam packet management have the ability to manage the Isle of Man steam packet. It's not the Isle of Man government that manages the steam packet. We will do what we can to help you, and that's that is my.
Are you talking with the management?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you sure? Because we're being told that you're not talking with them.
All right. Well, put it this way: whenever they pick up the phone, I'm happy to answer.
Are you actually face to face with the management?
We have had, yeah.
Recently, the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, we've been told that you're not. So somebody's.
Right. Well, certainly I received a letter recently from the Chief Executive.
That's a letter. No,
I've replied to the letter. I made it clear at the last meeting I had with the...
I made it clear...
Well, let me finish. I made it absolutely clear when I spoke to the steam packet board that if they wish to speak to me, I'm happy to speak to them. I am available to speak to them on all occasions. I will clear my diary specifically to meet with them if that is required.
So the answer to the question
they should be
I asked,
aware.
You're not talking to them. You have
well,
not
I think I am.
Face.
I mean, there's no point in talking to someone if they haven't got anything to say.
They've got nothing to say, and there's 330 jobs at stake.
Well, I have received a letter which was the agreed way forward from the Chief Executive of the steam packet. I have responded to that letter. There is discussion going on through the letters. There is discussion going on with my officers, and I have made myself available to talk to the steam packet if we have issues that need to be resolved face to face. I can't really do much more than that. I don't run the steam
packet. You
packet.
have realised how serious the situation is.
Well, why do you think that?
Because there's nothing happening.
Well, I
You should be doing
don't agree that that's the case.
Do you want to
I
go back
haven't-
down to 25, 30 years ago? 6 sailings a week?
Well, I don't know why I'm suddenly getting the blame for the mismanagement,
Well, you're
potential
supposed
mismanagement
to be
anyway of the
person in
steam
charge.
packet. I have a role, and I am fulfilling that role. My role is to ensure the best interests of the people that I represent.
Who gave the lease
and
out?
Well, you
and
represent us.
you are some
You
of those
represent
people.
us.
Absolutely.
Who gave the lease
We
out?
pay for you.
Who allowed the lease to go out on those inferior terms and conditions?
Which lease?
The lease for the freight ships, for Maritime.
Well, I don't know quite what you... I mean, if you want to go into technical details, happy to do
No,
that,
we're-
but
we're-
I
we're
prefer to get
friendly,
my
yeah.
officers with me.
Yeah.
All I know is that the 1961 Harbours Act requires me to allow Maritime to use the harbour, or any other harbour user that wishes to use the harbour. That is an absolute clear piece of legislation. I wasn't even born in 1961, so I didn't have anything to do with that piece of legislation. But I now, as Minister, have to uphold that piece of legislation. If you believe strongly that we should in some way allow the steam packet to have a monopoly in the harbour, and if you can persuade my colleagues in Tynwald that we need to change the legislation, then that's for you to do. We live in a democracy.
We believe you should be involved in supplying a good passenger service to this island, a good lifeline to it.
I think
which
we've
is
already
now
got
in
one.
threat.
We've got
Which
one,
is
but
now
that's
in
I think we've
threat.
got an excellent service which the steam packet provides, and that is provided largely as a result of
More
the user
sailings than
agreement.
There's ever been in the sea packet. More passenger sailings
Absolutely.
ever.
It's an excellent service. And I
in
don't quite
25
understand why
years,
you seem to
6
be
a
quite
week.
hostile towards me. You know, certainly getting from your body language. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's an excellent service. What's the problem here?
The problem is, as the people see it, is that you're here to represent people in the Isle of Man.
Yeah, the taxpayer.
And
And I'm happy to do that, and I am doing that to the best of my possible
And
ability.
labour that could have been supplied here to work on those freight ships across the Liverpool and Dublin have been replaced.
Well,
by Labour.
you actually know better than I do the international standards and requirements. So you're in a better position to
but you-
explain to your
yeah.
members how they work. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm happy to hold my hands up and say, not an expert on international sort of freight
the
and
same, the same thing happened with the Irish ferries 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
I fully understand. I know
And
how it
and
works,
and with the Irish
but I also know that
and
as a tiny island, such as the Isle of Man, cannot individually influence the whole way in which
Yeah, but-
the
but at least-
international
but at least
system
Ireland-
works.
at least
What I
Ireland-
want to do is work with you and your members.
But at least Ireland
to
applied the
do what we
minimum rate of
can.
pay for Ireland.
Yeah.
Guaranteed minimum. It wasn't the end of the world, but at least it guaranteed. This is half of the minimum wage they're paying.
Yeah.
Half the minimum wage.
But as I say, you know better than I do what I can and what I can't do. And I'm happy to discuss that with you. Although, quite frankly, the technical details of this area are not my expertise. I'm a politician. I do politics. My officers are waiting for me upstairs, and I'd be very happy to talk to you with them. And
Thanks for coming down and talking to us.
But certainly.
Are you against competition, or is it simply because these people are not getting the proper rate for the job?
No, we're not against competition at all, but as long as it's on a level playing field. But it can't be on a level playing field if you bring people in on £2.60 an hour. There's no way that you can compete with that unless you ask workers here, who in fact that newspaper boys and newspaper girls will be getting more than what the workers will be getting working on this operation. And secondly, we don't know what the conditions of service are, the amount of hours these people can work, and we don't think there's no necessity for it because they've got a users agreement, the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company, and as far as we're concerned, that users agreement should be used to the full. And if the company wants to talk about competition or we're not being productive or not, then let's get round the table and have a discussion about productivity. Never once was it discussed with us. The first we knew about it was a ship arrived with Estonian workers on, which was going to replace domicile Isle of Man workers.
I mean, there are various theories behind this, that this is being set up almost purposely to cause a dispute. What do you say to that?
Well, number one, we're not looking for a dispute, and the problem's going to be is the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company is not the company that you're in dispute with. The problem that we've got at the moment is that the government has allowed this to happen with no consultation with the workforce whatsoever. We believe that the government should have sat down with the trade union, discussed all of the options. It hasn't done that, but make no bones about it, we're going to campaign against this, and we're seeing the Minister this afternoon. Secondly, we'll be raising it with every single member of the Keys government, and we'll be raising a campaign both politically and industrially to stop this happening. I mean, they don't bring workers in on double the rates of pay of our members. They only bring workers in on lower rates of pay than our members. And how are you supposed to compete against £2.60 an hour?
What can you do about this though? Because I mean, you go on strike, that won't help. I mean, you can just go around the negotiating table. You're pretty limited on what you got there to fight with.
Well, number one, first of all, we've got to find out why they didn't consult with the trade unions at all about what's going to happen. And secondly, who and why did they want to replace a vessel which would put its own constituency out of work and then replace them with Estonian workers. We're not against Estonian workers, we're not against German workers, but what we're against is that workers who are going to come in and undercut our members.
What do you think will come out of your meeting today then?
Well, I don't know what's going to come out in our meeting today. I mean, but one thing's for sure, we will be briefing all of the members of the Keys government. We'll be trying to put not just our point of view over on behalf of the ratings, but the Officers' Union Nautilus will be over here as well. We'll be raising it with the Isle of Man TUC, and we will be running a campaign to expose the hypocrisy of a government that's supposed to look after its own constituencies at expense of bringing people in from another country on lower rates of pay and conditions.
Please like and subscribe to the Isle of Man TV channel. Thank you.